I never thought a simple Excel spreadsheet could end a relationship. For years, I've maintained a personal Excel workbook that tracks every single aspect of my finances. It's a system I developed to stay on top of my money, plan for the future, and most importantly, to stay calm. To most people, it probably looks boring or overly meticulous. A lifeless grid of numbers and categories: rent, utilities, groceries, gas, subscriptions, savings, entertainment, and even the smallest recurring charges. There are also sections for total expenses, amount paid, and remaining balance. But for me, it's more than just a spreadsheet. It's therapy. I used to struggle badly with financial anxiety. It wasn't just a passing worry. It was a physical weight I carried every day. I'd lie awake at night, my mind racing through a checklist of horrors, panicking over whether I'd paid the water bill or forgotten some major expense that was lurking in the shadows, ready to ruin me. My heart would pound against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the quiet of my bedroom. Sometimes I'd even get nauseous from the fear of being late or missing a payment. The shame was the worst part. The feeling that I was failing at the most basic level of adulthood. Once I broke down crying in the middle of a grocery store just because I thought my card might decline. The thought of the cashier's polite but pitying look, the line of impatient people behind me, it was too much. The stress was constant and overwhelming, a dense, suffocating fog that clouded every part of my life and made it impossible to truly enjoy anything. Then I discovered the power of structure, specifically Excel. It wasn't an overnight cure. It started slowly. I created a simple sheet just for my bills. Once I started logging every payment, setting due dates, and seeing my spending habits laid out clearly, the fog began to lift. I felt a flicker of control. Every cell I filled in, every bill I marked as paid in a satisfying shade of green, was a small brick in a fortress I was building around my peace of mind. I expanded it. I added tabs for savings goals, for my freelance income, for my small debts. I created formulas that would automatically calculate my net worth, my savings rate, my progress toward paying off my car. The spreadsheet became my ritual, my sanctuary. I knew exactly where my money was going and when it needed to go there. That level of clarity did something no amount of well-meaning advice, therapy, or flashy budgeting apps had ever done before. It gave me peace. It gave me proof that I was capable. Now, each month I allocate roughly half of my income toward savings. That might sound intense, but it's a disciplined split across several categories: my retirement account, IRA, a health savings account, HSA, my vacation fund, quarterly taxes since I'm self-employed, and my emergency fund. It took years to build up, but now I have months of expenses saved just in case. That safety net means everything to me. It's the tangible result of all my hard work and discipline. I do carry some debt. There's around $500 left from an unexpected vet bill when my cat, Leo, got sick. And there's my car loan, $200 a month, which I'll finish paying off next year. Could I wipe both of those out right now with a single transfer from my savings? Sure, the money is there. But I'd rather have that liquid cash sitting safely in my emergency fund. The interest rates are low, manageable. The idea of waking up to a job loss or another emergency and having absolutely no cushion, that terrifies me more than carrying a small, low-interest debt. It's a calculated decision, a strategic one. I also give myself a weekly allowance, $150, to spend however I want. That's my fun money. It's the part of my budget that says, you are more than your financial goals. You are allowed to live. It covers dinners out with friends, movie nights, new clothes when I feel like it, and those impulsive ice cream runs on a warm evening. It's completely, wonderfully guilt-free because it's budgeted for. It's the balance that keeps the whole system from feeling like a prison. Then came him. My ex-boyfriend. Let's call him Alex. Alex and I started dating a little over 6 months ago. Things were easy at first. He was charming, financially stable, and seemed emotionally mature, or so I thought. We had deep conversations that lasted for hours, we shared hobbies, and we genuinely enjoyed each other's company. He admired my independence, the way I'd built my freelance career from the ground up. He said I was the strongest, most self-sufficient woman he knew. He made me feel seen. Around month 5, we started talking seriously about moving in together. It was a big step, and we approached it with what I believed was mutual respect and maturity. We sat on my couch one Sunday afternoon, mugs of coffee in hand, and discussed financial boundaries. separate accounts, a joint account for shared expenses, and an agreement to split everything evenly. I remember feeling so proud of us of how we could talk about these things so openly. It seemed smart, fair, the foundation of a healthy partnership. Then it happened. The night the foundation cracked. One evening, Alex asked to borrow my laptop to check his email. I handed it over without a second thought. What I didn't realize was that I'd left my Excel workbook open, minimized at the bottom of the screen. He clicked it, and just like that, every single line of my meticulously organized financial life was laid bare before him. When I walked back into the room with 2 glasses of water, he was staring at the screen. His posture had changed. He looked confused at first. Then, his confusion curdled into concern. "You're spending over $6,000 a month?" he asked. The tone wasn't just a question. It was an accusation, half joking but clearly alarmed. I shook my head, a little thrown off. "No, it just looks that way. That's the total expenses column. It includes my credit card balance, which I pay off completely every month. I use my credit card for everything, to rack up airline miles for travel." He squinted at the screen, scrolling through the tabs. "You have a lot of credit cards. Macy's, Victoria's Secret, Best Buy. Why do you have so many? Are they all maxed out?" The words felt like little jabs. I tried to explain, probably too quickly, my voice a little tight. No, the balances are 0. I keep those lines in the spreadsheet to remind me of the due dates and to keep track of the open credit lines. I haven't used most of them in months. But I don't close the accounts because that can ding your credit score by lowering your average account age. It's strategic, not reckless. But his expression didn't soften. If anything, it hardened. It was like he wasn't listening to my words, only to the frantic story he was already writing in his head. He didn't say much after that. Just handed the laptop back, a strange distance in his eyes, and went quiet. Over the next few days, I felt a seismic shift. He wasn't affectionate. He wasn't texting as much. There was a coldness I hadn't felt before, a warmth that had just been drained from our relationship. Then one night, he invited me over and sat me down on his sleek, uncomfortable leather sofa. The air in the room was thick with unspoken judgment. "I've been thinking a lot," he started, his voice formal, "and I don't feel comfortable moving forward with someone who manages money like this." I was completely stunned. "Wait, what do you mean? We talked about this." He pulled out his phone and pointed to a note he had written. A list. A literal list of my supposed red flags. "You have too many credit cards," he read, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "You're spending recklessly. You have more debt than you're admitting. And you didn't tell me any of this. That's dishonest." I opened my mouth to speak, to defend the system that had saved me from my own anxiety, but he cut me off with a wave of his hand. "Unless you call every single credit card company right now, cancel your cards, and cut them up in front of me, I can't be in this relationship." That was his ultimatum. Not a conversation. Not a discussion. A demand. It felt like a punch to the chest. The air was sucked from my lungs. This man, this person I had started to build a future with, was asking me to destroy my financial armor, to dismantle the very system that gave me my peace, all to soothe his own baseless fears. I tried to stay calm, to salvage what was left of the respectful man I thought I knew. I told him about my savings, my financial goals, my emergency fund. I explained again how credit cards don't equal debt when they are managed responsibly. I reminded him that I had less than $4,000 in actual obligations, and that I could pay it off immediately if I chose to. I said, "Alex, that spreadsheet is how I fight my anxiety. It's my tool, not my burden. It's the only reason I can even consider a future with someone without panicking." But he didn't want to hear it. It was clear he wasn't interested in my reality. He was only interested in his own perception. He just kept repeating that I was irresponsible, that I was hiding things, that I'd lied. His eyes, the same ones that once looked at me with what I thought was admiration, were now cold and unyielding. And then he broke up with me, right there on his stupid, sterile couch. I walked home in the dark, the city lights blurring through my tears. Each step was a fresh crack in my heart. I felt like a fool. I collapsed on my own comfortable couch and called my best friends. They came over with wine and takeout, ready to rage on my behalf. "Are you kidding me?" One of them yelled, pacing my living room. "You literally helped me build a budget that got me out of $12,000 in debt. You're the reason I have a savings account." Another friend nodded, squeezing my hand. "You're the most financially disciplined person I know. This guy is insecure. Or jealous. Or both. He saw your strength and it scared him." I tried to laugh, but I mostly just cried. I felt violated, humiliated, misunderstood. My spreadsheet, my safe harbor, had been twisted into evidence against me by the person I was learning to trust. 2 weeks of deafening silence later, he texted me. A single infuriating message. "You knew I misunderstood and you just let me leave?" I didn't respond right away. I just stared at the message, the sheer audacity of it leaving me breathless. It turns out, after talking to our mutual friends, or maybe, just maybe, he'd had the decency to actually look at the spreadsheet again, he realized his mistake. He saw that I wasn't in financial ruin. He saw that I could easily carry my share of our life together. He learned that I was planning to use my reckless airline miles to buy us both flights to Italy for our 1-year anniversary. And now? Now he was angry. Not because he had been wrong, but because I hadn't fought to stop him from walking away. He was blaming me for not fixing his ignorance, for not begging him to stay after he had insulted, judged, and issued me an ultimatum. But how could I? He had judged me before asking a single clarifying question. He had assumed the worst. He had demanded that I prove my worth by destroying every tool I had so carefully used to build my credit and my confidence. He didn't listen. He didn't believe me. And most of all, he didn't respect me. I've thought about it a lot since then. In the quiet moments I've replayed the scene, wondering if I could have been calmer, more patient, more transparent earlier on. But every time I come back to the same solid conclusion. If someone truly cares about you, they give you the space to speak. They don't blindside you with ultimatums. They don't call you a liar without even trying to hear you out. He might have been charming. He might have had potential. But the way he handled that moment, that one single moment of misunderstanding, revealed everything I ever needed to know about his character. Some of my friends still say, maybe it was just a misunderstanding. But to me it wasn't. A misunderstanding is a two-way street that ends in clarity and apology. This was a one-way street of judgment that ended in a demand. It was a test, and he failed. That spreadsheet? It didn't just organize my finances. It organized my life. It showed me what stability looked like, what self-respect felt like. And maybe, just maybe, it saved me from a lifetime of having to prove my worth to someone who never really saw it in the first place. In the end, the numbers didn't lie. But more than that, they revealed a truth about people in the most unexpected way. My spreadsheet, in the quiet, logical silence of its cells and formulas, spoke a truth louder than any argument I could have ever made. And that truth ultimately set me free.